Give me a sec, I'm going to have to get up and start twerking.
Welcome to the Unplugged podcast. That's Unplugged with 3 Gs. This is season 1, episode 1 of what will hopefully be a very, 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 very long series. Now today I've got a few people I want to introduce you to. First, we've got Simi in the building.
Hi. Hi.
Next there is a man like Chills.
Yo, 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 yo.
What's good, my G? Asha, what you saying?
What are you saying?
Hey man, I'm blessed. I'm beaming as usual.
Of course.
And Mr. Nelly Nixon.
Don't know. Shout out One Piece still.
Man like Luffy, that's the real G. All day. Zoro, Sanji, Law, all of them, man.
And right now we're listening to, what's this? This is America. This is Childish Gambino. I believe this is Asha's favourite artist.
Definitely one of them.
Ooh,
way up
bit
there.
of a technical and difficult.
Hey, who in here seen the video?
Yeah.
Like 20 times. Watching
Alright, super fan.
I've only watched it like twice.
That video
maybe.
slapped.
I watched it.
but
I watched it 5 times in a row,
I'll
and then I
say
sent it to Izu.
maybe 3 times if I can't be in half asleep. But
I literally sent
Yeah,
it
it's
to
more-
Izu, and I was like, "What do you think?"
And what
hey,
did I think?
Izu, where was my normally you send me the music things. You didn't come through this time.
Alright,
like.
this time I was slacking, my bad, man.
Yeah,
My
nah.
bad.
He was
We need to have another
processing.
discussion.
Processing.
Hey, that's what today's for, innit? Let's have that discussion, because I know like a lot of this video has been stealing everyone's attention right now,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of different viewpoints on it, and you know, some people are praising it, saying that it's
Memes,
the
all
next big
sorts of
thing.
things. Yeah.
Some people are saying he's moving a bit mad. I mean, he's a black guy shooting black people. What's that about?
It's all about that black on black crime, you know. That's the main issue in America today.
We don't talk about it. Kanye did mention it in the
Like,
TMZ
forget racism,
interview, but
you
that's
know,
another
that-
issue. That's another
Fix
issue.
it in the communities, you know. It's the problem in the community. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, no.
This is
okay.
a lot of sarcasm. Are you being serious?
What? No, I thought you was going to say something.
No,
That's
no,
why.
I'm
No,
joking.
keep going,
Like,
keep going,
no.
keep going.
I'm taking the piss out of all these like people that are talking about.
I feel you.
In the climate that we're in, it's really popular to be woke, isn't it? So all these woke videos, you know, sort of like getting a message out there.
I mean, for me personally, I don't really like the word woke. It's like it's just putting a limitation on things that we should already know. You know, to be aware shouldn't be the best thing. It should be the thing that people should be
the
doing.
Yeah.
It should be the standard.
Should.
You shouldn't be praised for being aware of certain situations. If you're not aware of certain situations, that's all well and good. But the issue is when you start talking on those situations and you don't really have a clue about the full extent of things.
Yeah.
So.
But I also feel like if you are only allowed to talk about things because you know them well, then people just won't learn anything because they won't even have the bridge. Like, say a lot of people, like say friends, they'll come to you about like a subject that they feel comfortable talking to you about because they don't know anything about it, and that's where they'll be able to talk about it and they can open themselves up.
There's definitely something different about being ignorant and being aware of your ignorance and being willing to learn, as opposed to just speaking about something you have no clue about, but just saying, "Oh, I know this," even though I have not experienced it, I'm not even aware. This is probably the first time we're talking about it.
But also, when you're like talking about a situation and there's people that like live that situation every day, have experienced that, and then you're like talking over their voices when they're trying to like tell you how it is. And anyway, the music video, guys, what did you think?
It slaps.
It was a good video, definitely. Like,
I really loved it. Like initially, I watched it like 5 times in a row and was like, wow, this is something.
alert.
And I feel like especially because you had like all that Kanye shit going on the day before, and you're like losing hope, and then Gambino comes out with this, and it pops. And
So wait, you think it's like a
so
direct
much.
rebuttal to what Kanye was saying?
I can't hear you.
No,
I
I don't really.
I
don't really
feel
think
like
so.
the main thing that
Did you
Gambino
see-
addresses is gun violence, and Kanye. But I do feel like obviously,
I think Kanye was talking a lot of shit.
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
I feel
we'll
like
come on.
he
We'll
just
come on to
couldn't
Kanye in a bit, but I think what I'm struggling to get at right now is that like the main message behind this video, like what is it?
exactly, and that's something that he didn't exactly.
But I think that's the whole point.
So for me anyway, the beauty in media is that the audience can take from what they want.
Yeah.
So for me, for example, and we'll go around the room and see what everyone feels about it. Is I just feel like Childish Gambino was getting at. At one stage in the video, there's a lot of violence going on. He's paying attention to the violence, and then he's going on to dancing and blocking it out. Yeah. You get what I mean? So a lot of the dancing was
hype
in the front,
culture, Lil Pump, all that stuff.
And I feel like it's also like with that, it's like how you love black culture, but you hate black people.
Yeah.
You have the focus of the video is these like kids fully dancing, like showing all these fresh moves that look so good, and you have like people jumping off buildings. You have people being shot, you have cars on fire, and it's like this is all happening like primarily in black communities. So you don't care about what's happening in the black community, but you like the culture.
You off of it,
like,
you use it.
But also on the flip side, I just feel like it's Childish Gambino taking a shot at actual black individuals. Yeah. Because do you get what I'm saying? So I'm all against the whole thing of fake outrage, and I feel like at one point, something happens in the news, and then everyone's, got this fake outrage about it. The next thing you know, there's a new dance move that comes out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then it's like, oh, we just forgot what happened. Do you get what I mean?
I feel like everything that
like black people in general.
Yeah,
they're just able to get back up and move on.
We don't have the time to mourn like all these losses. And
but
it's
if you say that, why are we still
talking
about slavery like 500 years?
No, but
afterwards?
400 years.
Yeah, 400.
You'd be surprised.
It's a big number.
You'd be surprised.
It's
a big number.
Slavery's been going on since the beginning of humanity.
Those kids in that school that got shut up, and there was like that whole movement that is like what was it called, like March for Our Lives, and they had like all this time to like mourn their losses. There was like it was national news. It went across everywhere.
The recent shooting, that one.
Yeah.
The recent
and it was like,
they
had all this attention given to them. But it's like when all these black people, these Black Lives Matter movement, these like kids who are watching their parents get shot, or these like like kids that are being orphaned, and it's like they're not really given, the chance to mourn, because they're being told, well, like if they're complied with the police, if X, Y, Z had happened. So it's like we like. Obviously, this doesn't happen as much in England, but in America, like black people aren't really given the same amount of compassion and empathy, so they can't just like be sat around mourning, because it will just be like, it will just.
And I think another thing, we're so exposed to tragedy in this day and age that we see something, we just go over it. Do you know what I mean? Like even with like the Manchester bombings last year, all of that, London,
Grenfell,
move on, Grenfell even. What's happened to Grenfell?
But it's also all these tragedies.
Grenfell
they
always
try
comes
to brush
back
it
up.
off.
Like people
By
always
who?
bring it back
Who
up.
brings it back up?
People that were involved.
Black people,
ethnic people,
primarily black women.
Exactly.
And it's like
we're so desensitized to these things, and that's what I feel like with Childish Gambino. Why are we so comfortable with seeing black trauma on TV? Or
why is it?
That's what they've shown, literally.
But it normalizes
all
it,
of these shows.
Showing, like, obviously this is not like ideal, but if they started showing all the kids that like got bombed up in the Manchester bombings, people, especially all the white kids, because they were a majority, right? Let's face it. If they started showing those on like TV, everyone would be outraged.
Like, oh my gosh.
Why are we celebrating like?
Well, I
black
mean,
people
it's
being
because
shot?
black lives aren't valued in the same way that other lives are.
I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, trauma sells regardless. Where we live in an age in the 21st century, and if you look at the history of horror movies and how gruesome they've gotten over the years from the 1920s up until now, like we're just so used to blood, we're used to violence.
Very true. Like horror is a dying genre because we can't surprise us anymore because we're so used to it. But it's like if you're trying to get across like how bad something is, it's like you try to expose people to be like, for them to be like, oh my God, this is terrible. But it happens so frequently that you are just neutral. It's just normal. It's like, okay, another shooting in America. They've had more people die like in America at the hands of like mass shootings than they have like in England in the past like 50 years. And it's just normal. You don't have the time to report it every day because it happens so much. But it's like, so with Gambino, the opening scene, he's like, just there, and then he shoots someone.
It's the easy even gets the gun.
Do you know what it is?
Like,
that represents America.
Going back to the symbolism of the actual video,
but like the symbolism.
That's what I was saying about the gun.
He shoots the guy, and then it gets put on this red cloth, like taken away.
Guns are
like
so
it's
important
valuable.
to America. How easy is it for someone in America to get a gun? It's just they just walk into a store and they can easily get a gun that.
It's easy to an extent.
It's easy to an extent. I know there's a bit of like licensing and all of that stuff,
really?
but it's quite.
I mean, you know, at the end of the day,
it's readily easy.
Oh well, look, it all depends on what state you're in, but the general consensus is that it definitely is easier to get a gun in America because of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you can't get a gun yourself, you'll probably have like a family gun that you can get hold of. There's more kids, you know, dying by accidentally shooting themselves by a gun left around the house.
My friend had a gun at 13. She's American, and she got taught how to shoot at 13 years old. So there's
a video going viral of
the
little
boy, the lady, and he's
the
just
little blonde lady in it.
I'm thinking, what the hell, man? Like,
can't lie to you, he was a bit mad on that gun.
Why is that
looking at
surprising
Rambo
for you in terms of you know, a little kid holding a gun at that age?
I mean,
no. I'm just asking
probably in terms like in media when you see kids, you expect them to be happy. Like kids are like blank minds in a way. Like they are taught to like they're at this stage they don't know racism. Like even when I remember I saw a video about that, you know, the Millwood kid, the Millwood FMO.
Oh yeah,
Like these kids are being taught that. Like
I think
the Millwood fan,
video,
the Millwood.
It's a white kid in the car with his grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like Millwood, FMO, Millwood, FMO.
He's
like, you effing black C word.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll show you.
Is that what it is? Is that Milo on now? Yeah.
These kids, they only know like
true that
sort of right and wrong, and like. At this stage, it's like love to them. Everyone, they're just trying to like be happy. I know kids are a bit selfish and that, but like
it's just
it's
a conservation of innocence, and it's if you're giving someone if you're giving a child a gun that has the potential to like end multiple lives, why do they need to know that? What are you expecting them to do or see or live through that requires them to know how to do that?
The child itself doesn't understand the gratifying
effects
of that gun.
Yeah, he doesn't understand the consequences.
It will be like a toy, so he will like maybe accidentally shoot someone, but you know he doesn't. He isn't able to grasp in his mind.
He probably won't even realise that it's something wrong that he's done. He'll think.
So are we saying, you know, the Second Amendment is a dated, you know, law?
It very much is.
It's a different time. They lived in different times where guns were necessary to protect their land, whereas like now it's not. And obviously guns took ages to reload. So
I've seen something like different, like another theory about the Second Amendment, that they were talking about how back in the day they used to use militias to keep the slaves in check. And this militias, like basically like farmers will just band together and stuff to protect their lands and prevent their slaves from running away. So the Second Amendment was created to allow them to carry arms, basically, to make sure they can keep their slaves in check.
Oh yeah.
Well, there you go. So.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Again, I just want to put it out there that I haven't fact checked that specific thing, but when I read it, like it was a bit wild.
Facts in it, but
you know what I'm saying.
We'll keep it rolling.
No, that's what we do here. Unplugged and unplugged.
On like the second part of the Gambino song, when he's like, it's getting gospel and it looks like a church, and then the gun is just like thrown at him and he catches it, and I feel like that's another symbolism of how like easy, like you turn around, there's a gun, and obviously I feel like we over sensationalize it a lot in the UK and a lot in non-American countries, because you know like it's like over like how easy it is to get guns, because it's just so like ludicrous to us, the ease of doing that. But I do feel like the access that you have to it, and the fact that you can do it in like a church, a holy place, and it's just like cool, right? Let's go.
But
Burger King, you know.
On the flip side to that, like as you said, you can draw what you want from that video. So somebody on the other side of the argument would say this is just another example of black on black violence.
No.
Well, I mean, he was representing like that was just a recreation of that
but
white
how
boy.
effectively does he convey that message?
America
because if you look at it on the face value, it's just a black guy shooting black guys.
Yeah, but
I mean,
he's in the music video. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily like a black on black violence. But even if it is, it could be like you know, like people are more focused on the black and black violence and the fact that people are being killed by all these guns. Like I don't really feel like black on black violence is a way to negate like the racist things that are happening. It's just like that's just a separate issue, but you trying to bring that up to dismantle the fact that there is like a serious gun problem, it's just like not relevant.
What was the real message of like the video?
I mean, I feel
it's
like, you know,
it's
it's just what you take from it.
It's what you take from media.
But for example, I don't know how much you don't listen to Childish Gambino over the years, but you know, I'm a big fan of Childish Gambino.
He has changed a lot.
And he's definitely changed a lot, but he definitely speaks on black violence. That's something that he doesn't shy away from.
But I know, like, someone was saying that he's a little bit problematic in himself as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in America, you know, I think when it comes to America, especially, you know, they're so different, and that country is so big. Like, people don't understand that geographically, landmass is literally equal to Europe. So when we're talking about like Americans, you have to factor in the fact that, you know, the Southerners and the East Coast and the West Coast, they're all different kinds of people. So this issue is a lot more complex than looking at it from
I
the
feel
outside.
like the cusp of like the video, not necessarily about like black on black violence or gun violence or, you know, racism. I feel like it's just that you can have all these bad things happening, and we're just looking for the next hype, the next trend, which is why you have throughout the music video, you have these like wicked dance moves going on, like all these fresh moves.
And all the ad-libs as well.
And everyone's like, you know, that's the focal point. And you have these like people committing suicide, these mass shootings. You have people running from their cars. You have at the end when he's running like for his life. But, you know, you're just thinking about like that move. You have people like... Yeah,
but
like
I mean,
cars on fire.
You know, we have all these like shootings and like you said, you know, the suicides and whatnot. But are you saying it's black people's what's it called?
No,
their responsibility?
I'm not saying it's their responsibility.
Sure.
I'm just saying that like he was making a point of how like all these bad things are happening, but they're just kind of getting overlooked by like the next new trend that's going to happen.
But these trends are coming from black people because I mean, black people are doing things.
So then it could be the, you know, the love. Love black culture, hate black people. So then it's like when, and it's like you'll be interested in like the new trends that we come up with, the new fashions, the new dances. But when we're like, oh, okay, we're being shot a lot by cops, and it seems like unnecessary with a lot of brute force, and you're like, oh no, like that's just a one-off thing. And then we come up with this move, and you're like, yeah, like we love it, but like you won't.
I also find it very frustrating about all these like artists that like steal black culture and. They literally like
what cultural appropriation.
They give nothing back. They don't want to talk about our issues. Like it frustrates me. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah,
really,
no, that's a whole other.
It's a whole another thing, but it's related to.
But then you can also say like, so when you were saying about Gambino being problematic, he has continued to kind of, you know, shit on black women at the expense of black women,
when
and
was
it's
this,
done.
So I want to see evidence. You made accusation.
I can
get them receipts, boy. Get them receipts, boy.
Fam, these sound bites are a bit mad, you know. You can't just be throwing it out there.
Throwing a hot take.
It was like when I was
Gambino
going on my
misogynist.
Gambino hype, it was a stand-up he did. Like it was old, like he looks young in it. But in that same one, he was talking about how like.
But this isn't in his music. This is in his
stand-up. No.
This is when he did like stand-up. But obviously, like you can like be like, oh, like this is comedy, what, blah blah blah. But like obviously, the comedy someone does is like a reflection of you know.
No, it's not.
No, but it's in like
No.
But then ask the question, how much you know about comedy?
I mean, as in
a lot
like
of
the
comedians
jokes.
have their own
But I mean,
personas.
that's what I mean. The jokes they talk about,
necessarily-
like the humor that they bring to the table.
What was the joke?
Well, the one that I remember is when he was saying that he was sleeping with this like white girl, and like she started calling him a nigger whilst they were fucking, and he was like, he
Hey
came.
man, sometimes
like,
you know you got we had that role play.
Yo, you're even mad.
Runaway slave and
This is not Pornhub, my G.
So
This is
we're
not
throwing back
Pornhub.
to slavery.
It is not
Throwing
Pornhub,
back,
bro.
you know, like slavery, rape, and that. Is that what gets you on? Is that what you're into?
Wow.
Is that why you re-downloaded Tinder?
You know what? Yeah, it was.
Wow.
That was a
He's
momentary
looking
lapse
for
of
a white
judgment.
girl like that,
I never
you know.
expected it.
Wow.
Anyway,
Oh my gosh,
but then like what
wow.
he was saying was like, oh, he likes, you know, black Asians, he likes like Latino
So
black
mixed.
girls.
Mm.
Is that a problem?
I feel like
No,
this
no,
joke's
but
been
the thing
taken
is,
out of
he's
context
saying, like-
because like,
He's saying like he likes white black girls, like every kind of black girl, like a black girl
what's a white
who's
black girl?
mixed with. I don't know what he meant by that. It's like again, it's.
It's open to
But it's,
interpretation.
but
That's
it's just,
everything.
but I think
So
the
is that a
point
white
that
guy
you
acting
can-
black or a black guy acting white?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what-
I don't know.
But I think the point is he can't just say like I like black girls. It always has to be like a black girl mixed with something else. Like black girls alone aren't enough.
Yeah.
You can't have black girls. It's always got to be like diluted almost.
Yeah.
And I feel like you see that a lot in society. You see like all these light skinned girls being like hyped up. You see the Kardashians who like, you know, thrive off black culture.
Yeah.
But you can't. But as soon as it comes to an actual black woman, it's like, oh, she's, you know, she's so angry, she's so bitter, she's so jealous, she's so nappy. Like it's all of these things.
Aye, Nelly, because I
Yo.
think me and you got the same view on this. Because I can't lie to you. If it's comedy, yeah, surely he gets a pass.
I mean, look. Oh, okay. Wait.
One at a time.
So this is my thing about comedy. Comedy throughout the years has always been like this, but we live in an age now where everything and everyone is getting so sensitive.
Everyone's fake.
Because
woke.
no. If we look
at
it,
there's a fake woke thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a fake woke thing.
1 second. So if that's not the case, then someone like what's his name? Who's the guy who just got arrested the other day? Black guy, Bill Cosby.
Oh yeah.
That walk though.
So he's been doing X, Y, and Z for so long.
It was like now, 60 women.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Wait, it was a lot.
But
that's 60. Do you know how many people that is? That's
60 women like confessed.
Okay. That's
like,
a first team. That's a reserve team. That's an under 18s team.
Semantics of it. He's been doing this for so long. Why is it only now he's getting tried for it? You know.
Why do you think?
And that's my point. So people are speaking up now. Do you not
know what would have happened in 30 years? You know, like,
wait, sorry?
Like 30 years ago, when like you were sexually assaulted, it like wasn't like, oh, you were sexually assaulted. It's like you're asking for it. Like we have that now. Imagine what it's like 30 years ago.
Things haven't really changed apart from our mindset of things. So yeah, we are getting more sensitive. We are bringing to light.
I mean, I don't think being able to come out and say that you were raped is being sensitive. I'm
not speaking about that.
She may box you in there still.
Sorry?
She may have boxed you in there.
No. I'm not talking about that situation.
Because
just
it's
per se.
like,
I'm talking about just across the whole board. We are a bit more sensitive.
But I don't think it's sensitive. I think
they sort of process that, regardless of how long it takes.
Especially when you live in a society
like 1
that
year after or 30 years after, it still happened. Just because of the length of time in between doesn't negate the fact that.
But I get what you mean.
I'm just saying nothing's really changed apart from our mindset of things. So we are bringing to light certain situations that before would have just been brushed upon.
But wait. Surely if he's
right, just because they got brushed under the carpet.
No. That's what I'm saying. Some things in that realm. Actually, I'm actually happy that the whole sexual assaults in the industry. That stuff does need to be brought to light. But I mean, you can't sit here and say that we're not sensitive.
I think what you're saying is that as a society we've become way more sensitive to things. Wait. Don't go there just yet.
I'm telling you. You know
Nelly went there.
Before we go on that,
I'm telling you now.
Go on.
Wait, comedian thing. So another thing is that Gambino said that because he's a comedian and he like can joke about murder, like why isn't rape the same thing? Why can't you make rape jokes too?
Oh, they did. Dave Chappelle makes rape jokes.
That's what I was about to say. Dave Chappelle's
Gambino was saying like it should be normal, like to make rape jokes.
It depends if the jokes are in taste or not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's comedy. Comedy is a thing like this, yeah. If you wait, so 1 second.
A lot of artists made it up on like.
I mean, a lot of artists have probably sexually assaulted women, so of course they're gonna joke about that.
That's completely fine. I'm just saying, comedy is a particular it's a taste, right? If you don't like it, you don't like the jokes, you don't have to.
But I think it's also again like who is telling the jokes. Like,
I think it's more how it's said than who says it.
But it's like,
it should be said in any way.
Yeah, but some jokes are just dead.
But it's like, if a guy is going around making all these jokes about how he's gonna rape these women, like, is that actually funny though?
So is it a comedy? Is it a comedy show?
But then if a girl is talking about like making jokes about how she's potentially been spiked, I feel like it's different when you have the victim making jokes and you have the perpetrator who's making jokes about like assaulting people. It was like, who was that white guy that got like hyped up and then years ago and literally was like at a university and then got kicked out of a uni, like Dapper Laughs.
Oh,
remember?
I've heard of that name before.
And he used to make jokes about like he made some jokes.
He was a big Snapchat,
about drugging a girl and like assault and like
because I think when that happened, he
totally
recently got a deal from something.
Do you know why that's totally different?
What it was.
Because the difference is, he was going on like social media and that making jokes about how he did X, Y, and Z, But Gambino, right, has basically curated a stand-up comedy where this is an art form where he goes there and he actually makes jokes, not in terms of I'm taking the piss, but like this is like maybe like a satirical piece and stuff like that. So it's a thing of like he's not really saying like condoning the action.
But that's what I mean. There's a way to
have their own like sort of like.
A lot of comedians just take like obscene points of views and just twist it into something funny.
But like another characters.
Yeah, again,
you know what I mean.
It depends on how good the comedian is.
Is your humor so bad that you can't joke about anything except rape? Like there are so many things you can make humor out of, and you have to resort to like.
I think you need to watch way more David Chappelle.
And like. Because then it'll be like, oh, what? So can we start joking about like, you know, paedophilia?
Yeah,
like,
I know bare
like,
jokes about paedophilia. Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like,
Dave Chappelle.
like
He's the greatest
if you're
The
that
GOAT.
funny, you shouldn't need to do that. You shouldn't need to go to that line.
Why do certain jokes always have to attack a gender that is usually, you know, already attacked?
You'll have a 50% like women audience and then want to be making jokes, and like bear in mind that 1 in 4 women will be sexually assaulted in her lifetime, but you're gonna go
or is that like
no that's the actual
I'm buzzing I'm joking.
1 in 3 in university as well. 1 in 3 in university. But yeah, so like if you've got an audience that will potentially be, you know, women traumatized or triggered as in like you're going to be bringing back flashbacks that can put them into like a depressive or
not if it's done properly
state of mind. It's just tasteless, you know. Like there's so many things you can, and it's like.
Oh, but that's exactly the point, though, isn't it? If it's not your taste, then that's it. But I don't think that just because you don't like it, it should be banned.
But at the same time, what was said was still said, and it still kind of gives his own point of view on the whole sort of race or women.
But I think, especially when you have black men bashing black women, you know, that's just like almost opening up the doors for other people. Because if you hear your homie being like, oh, you know, this black bitch, you know, she's such like a ghetto ass, nasty ass, like all of XYZ, and he's saying it to his white friend, then this white girl, and then this white girl's gonna be like, oh, you know what, he doesn't even like black women. Like, who does like black women?
Especially when black women since the beginning of time have defended black men, so
like almost all social movements have like you know, Rosa Parks
and just, you know, insult black women. So.
Hey, don't act like black women
trash,
don't.
Innit?
Don't act like
Men
black women.
are trash.
No. Wait. Can I say something?
Alex,
no,
People
men are
trash.
No,
People are trash. Sorry. Well, let's not get onto that topic. I'll be here chatting for 1 hour.
Alex, how are you gonna all lives matter?
Me and Asha have had this conversation already.
When
it's
you talk
needed.
about men are trash,
No,
you're not talking about like, oh, this guy, you know, was rude to me. It's about, you know, a systemic problem of patriarchy where, you know, women can't walk home alone late at night. You know, they can't go out drinking by themselves.
Absolute bollocks. That's all I'm saying.
They can't, like, you know, when a guy comes onto them, they need to be like, what, is he gonna get aggressive with me?
No, exactly.
Yeah, if I say no, is he gonna listen to me, or is he gonna be like, oh, no, come on. Exactly. If I say I've got a boyfriend, he's going to be like, what, so you can't have friends then? Is he going to attack me? Is he going to be saying all this shit?
You got paid
Alex, why are you laughing, bro?
I'm not laughing. Wait.
Alex, I've had people...
you study psychology, so can you be my lawyer?
Do you know what?
Yo, yeah, them ones, innit? Yo.
You're plucking at straws here, man.
But I've had people, Alex, on nights out, I have had guys manhandle me. I have had guys
what I'm trying to say is I'm against this whole generalization thing, man. It don't make sense.
It's addressing a mass
every
topic.
gender can be trash if they want to.
No, but why
this is just
that, like,
this
if
is.
you say no, if a guy comes on to you, you say no. Why is it that?
Like, that is them and their upbringing.
No, but it's a problem. If you can't see that it's a whole problem within a gender, like it's not like a one guy thing. You know, it happens to every single girl. You can speak to every girl you know, Alex, and it will happen to them. And the fact that you can't realize that this isn't just like, I'm not saying it's like every single guy, and it's not even necessarily that you guys know it.
Trash, you're saying men.
Yeah, but that's because it's a gender problem. It is a gender problem because there's a
go.
All right, let's go, Simi.
All right, so why is it that when like you reject a guy, you just say no, and then he continues to keep going on about it until you actually say that you have a boyfriend, even if you don't? But why is it that a guy only respects another guy's
respects you, yeah.
He
violence.
You for another guy. He doesn't respect you and your choices, but he respects that you're another guy's property.
We're animals.
Why do you guys feel
violence.
so entitled that because you're there, I'm
bitch,
here,
I'm a dog.
I have to talk to you, and you have to say yes. Men are trash.
We're animals.
But it's not just that. It's like the
animals.
fact that like there is so much
We're
violence
mammals. Have you
against
ever
women.
seen-
We are all mammals. We're apes. Just very developed apes.
It's just like it's like a lack of sensitivity. It's a lack of sensitivity. The fact that you're
I agree.
But the fact that you're laughing at this and
I'm
we're
not
like,
I'm laughing.
Wow. You're
But, like-
cancelled. 2018.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Go on. Sorry.
no, I'm not even gonna.
No. I do
it's an
agree that.
epidemic when you have like 2 women being killed like a week by their spouses.
Yeah.
At like because of that. And it's like there is the problem with violence against women and, you know, hatred against women and misogyny and, like, you know, just general sexism. And obviously, like, the thing is, like, men, like, don't benefit from it either. Like, it ends up coming, like, when you have toxic masculinity, when you have men's suicide rates being so much higher, and you can link it back to, you know, like, this
societal pressures.
This patriarchy. And it's like, women aren't the only victims, but it's like, until I talk about, you know, the problems that men have, like, no one wants to hear it.
But surely, right, at the end of the day, if Childish Gambino, again, I don't actually know the joke you're referring to, so I can't say whether it's in good or bad taste or not, but if he's making those kind of jokes and, you know, speaking on the issue, then surely he's bringing it to light to people who otherwise wouldn't come across it or just ignore it.
But women have been speaking about this for ages. Why is
But
Childish
again,
Gambino
can I
if we're speaking about it for ages and it's not been working, then surely that's something.
So we'll only be listening to problems when men come up with them, when women can be like.
That's not the point. The point is that women have been talking about this for ages, right?
But
and nothing has changed, right?
It doesn't matter.
So what you're saying is that the method that's been happening so far doesn't work.
No, it's not the method that's been happening. It's the platform. Who's saying it? Because, you know, women can be saying this thing,
Beyonce
X, Y, Z.
did Lemonade, like you said.
Yeah, and literally, Beyonce did Lemonade, like Azealia Banks, she's problematic, but she's been doing, like, things like this. There's so many women that have been talking about, you know, gun violence, like, gender violence, you know, like, racism, and it just isn't a thing. Lemonade didn't get half the hype that Gambino's got, and he's coming years later when it is a trend to be woke.
Wait. I want to say something right now. Beyonce is known as Beyonce. Childish Gambino is a black man. You need to understand that when people view Beyonce, she's Beyonce.
Beyonce is
she's not
god.
Black. She's not.
She's
a
god.
Beyonce's Beyonce.
She's a god to these people.
Look at Solange then. Her album, she literally did an album dedicated to, like, black people, you know, for us, by us, you know, mad, when she's literally talking about, like, these people
she
being
didn't
like,
do
why?
that.
She got attention when it was the Super Bowl and she did a performance for that. That's when she got attention for it. Because when you have people time like, what's that Tommy
Lauren.
Yeah. Commenting on that about it, then you can't you can't say that she didn't whip out a skirt if you have people like that commenting about it.
I mean, like she's been talking about the same things that Childish Gambino has been talking about, but she didn't get half the hype. And why? Because, like, this guy has decided now.
I mean, you need to put into context. If Childish Gambino didn't bring out this video and it was just the audio version, you wouldn't have.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying is that
Childish Gambino's just a good director.
But what I'm saying is, like, guys can come out with the exact same material as women, but are so much more appreciated and, you know, given more credit for the same thing that women are doing, particularly black women. Like, we can be saying everything you're saying, and it's like it's like being in a business meeting. I'm like, oh, I have this idea, and everyone ignores it. But you say the exact same idea, and everyone's like, oh my god, this is amazing.
I do get your argument to an extent.
And you can understand how frustrating it is when, you know, you're trying to, like, give your, like, ideas and your all, and it's just completely dismissed. Imagine going through that your whole life.
Exactly.
Like, that is what it's like.
I mean, I am black.
No,
so.
but that's what I mean.
Woman, so.
I'm black and I work in corporate. I know some shit.
Yeah, of course. And it's like, I don't want this to be like a, what is it? They call it like a struggle competition.
We ain't competing, like, but I'm just saying
a discrimination. Who has it worse? But it's just like, again, as soon as, like, black women talk about their problems, they're like, oh, but I have this as well. It's like, you know, you're all lives mattering. Or
no.
And I feel like
first and foremost, every life on earth does matter. Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna.
Not every on earth is under attack. So
that's like saying, like, oh, so when a house is on fire, it's like every house deserves to be put out.
What the hell? What does that
mean? But like, you're being like, so say my house is on fire and your house isn't, and I'm saying, like, I need someone to come put out the fire, and you're like, I need someone to, like, you know, put out my fire as well, but you don't have a fire.
I mean, I feel
if your house isn't being attacked, why are you saying that your house needs to be defended?
I mean,
when my house literally is being attacked?
That's very ignorant of you to disregard other people's issues in life.
No, but we're talking about one issue. We're talking about one issue.
Wait, one at a time, man. Go on, Nelly.
My bad. What, me? Oh, yeah.
But we're talking about one issue, and I feel like the inability to be able to see, like, the different struggles. So so say you talk about white privilege. White privilege isn't saying that your life is easy. Isn't saying that you're never going to struggle. You're never going to have mental health problems. You're never going to have, you know, class problems, money problems. It's just saying you will never struggle because of your ethnicity.
How can you talk about white privilege when you're not white?
You can.
No. Because
white privilege is literally.
You can talk about black
What black
because,
privilege?
Because you're
black privilege?
Or the lack of black privilege.
There's some black privilege. Trust me.
Yes,
What you mean? You mean
I'm intrigued.
I got one. Hey, black
privilege.
We got
you
the
mean
food.
the compensation? The compensation for the discrimination that we face in society, to the point that they have to put in a structural, like, infrastructure to compensate because it's so bad, like, within society, the systemic racism.
What's the compensation?
So
well, like the black privilege that you're apparently talking about.
Everyone's got some sort of privilege.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like everyone has a privilege. Like, I have a privilege, being a university educated female.
You've got a privilege being in the Western world.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that doesn't mean. But that doesn't mean that So because I live in the Western world, I can't talk about.
No, you definitely
racism.
Can. You definitely can.
So that's what I mean. So you have white privilege, where you benefit from not being an ethnic minority or a person of color, but that doesn't mean that you're not then gonna struggle from class privilege. You can have like white poor, like white working class families.
Definitely.
That doesn't mean that they're not gonna struggle. It just means they're not gonna struggle because they're white. And it's like the same with gender. Like, so you can be a white female from like a middle class background, but it's like if you're a woman, you're probably gonna face like gender problems. And it's like it's like intersectionality, like being pro intersectional is realizing how all of these things link together when you have like, I don't know, like thin privilege, like
thin privilege.
Yeah, so basically like fat people are like oppressed in
fat
society.
People are unhealthy, they're not oppressed. And it's called being unhealthy.
I mean, when you literally get charged
it reminds me of the obesity cancer advertisement. Like, just don't be triggered.
How about you just
don't be triggered?
How about you have a chronic disorder, which means that you can't lose weight, that you can't move around so more.
So can I just
no. What's wrong with stating the facts?
Wait. So am I allowed to just start putting titles and everything that I have an issue with? Then is that how we're gonna do this?
Should we go back to the music video?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
No, actually, let's move on to a similar topic, but off in another direction. Because recently, there's been a lot of like Twitter backlash, and people are running that angry black woman joke thing about how when Maya Jama and Poet both made disparaging comments.
What
about
did Poet
black women.
do? Did he do something?
They were just.
Because Poet's my guy. Shout out Filthy Fellas.
I think she had.
Well, he's not my guy. I don't know him personally.
Yeah, no, they both had a few tweets, basically just like atting black women for various reasons, and then. I mean, they both apologized for it. Maya Jammers was pretty much, yeah, Maya Jammers was criticised for being not very like.
What did Poet say?
I think it was one of them. Well, I don't know verbatim, but it was to do with black girls, and this was like in 2013 or something.
Yeah, like it was like 5 years ago.
Poet would be wearing a Tottenham kit in some random.
Remember that?
Like, I remember old school.
It was a growing curve, It was a learning curve. He shit on black women because that's what you do at that age, and then growth.
You have to make fun of black women.
It's just a stage. It's a stage everyone goes through.
It's a mental stage. I went through it at 6th form with that,
I mean,
but then it's like you think about it. How crazy is that you literally have a stage of your life where it's normalized to shit on black women, and then like not actually think about the trauma that will be doing when they're like the emotional punching bag for their entire lives as like a growing, like it's not something you grow out of. You grow out your clothes. You grow out of a music genre. You don't grow out of abusing.
This is what
I mean, how? So you're saying people don't grow, or
no? I'm saying like people are like
because then you do grow out of it. Then
people are justifying their abuse of black women by saying it's a learning. It was a stage.
I mean, we do learn. I mean, for example,
but it's not normal. But it's
wait,
the normalization.
Wait.
Let's listen to Nelly.
Did they actually grow because that was in themselves? Because it is popular to be woke. Like, let's be honest.
Are we talking in regards to the Poet and Maya thing?
Like with their whole excuse saying that they grew from it.
No, I mean, I don't know what Poet said verbatim after he received the backlash.
He basically was just saying like, something about black women looking a certain type of way when they wear a certain type of clothes and just acting them basically. He basically
Poet.
He's
from Tottenham.
But the thing is, it's like ASAP Rocky did it as well. ASAP Rocky started saying like about dark-skinned women shouldn't be wearing like red lipstick or something. And
was it red? I think it was purple lipstick.
Oh, but even
but I've heard that joke when I was a kid as well.
Yeah,
whole,
like this is stuff
looking
we've
like
grown up.
It's not
Mr. Popo.
okay. But then
I'm not saying it's okay. No, but that's what they were saying.
That's rude.
But I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying is when you're a kid, because you're looking at people like Maya Jama and Poet for what they are now. When they made those tweets, they were like 16 years
But
old.
that's the whole point. It's like a phase that people go through. Like, why are we normalizing this?
Exactly.
Like,
We're
it's
not normalizing. Well, I
but
don't.
you're like,
I'm not gonna say,
I'm a
I
kid.
wouldn't
Like
say they're
everyone,
16.
No,
everyone
I'm not.
did
No,
it.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they were kids. Like they were kids.
They were
Yeah.
a lot
So
younger than they are now.
And what do kids do?
The
You
thing
know?
is,
Yeah, but
is
you-
that
Really
any
dumb
other
shit.
celebrity
Dumb
that had
shit.
probably like talk trash on another race, if it was a white race, like say Monroe Bergdorf, if she had, well, when she did it, she lost all her like what her affiliation.
We're like
was.
referring to her
But
saying
no,
that like
no,
white
no, no,
people
no,
are
hold on, let me
racist.
talk.
There's other
My
artists.
Jam
Go on,
talk
Simi.
shit on black people,
Yeah.
but look, man, she still keeps everything. So
Well,
But
can I say
Monroe-
something?
Monroe-
Can I say something in response
She
to that?
talks nothing but
You know, like these artists, like what's it? The one that has the song with Young Thug Jeffrey. I just had to do that. But is it Camila
Cabello.
Yeah, her.
Oh, her.
She had some racist things going. Apparently, she had a account on Twitter where she
yeah,
used to
she deleted.
she
What, a
used to
fake
do
account where she
fake
just-
account. Yeah, you know them.
Wow.
Abby ones.
Hey, don't act like
She
women be
called-
having
she
fake
called
accounts all the time to stalk
Apparently,
people. And that.
Them
Obama,
football
a
emojis.
nigger.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. Also, a recent artist, that Sabrina, was it Claudio
Yes,
Sabrina?
yeah.
Her?
She's a wavy singer, by the way. Shout out
She's
to
a
her.
wavy singer. I rinsed her song. What's the other one? Like I don't.
We'll get over it later,
Doesn't
later,
matter.
later.
But
Find it
still,
later, innit?
she what did she say? I think she had a like she was saying she said call someone like her. Is it Chungo or something?
that?
I don't know what, but it was offensive. It was an argument to a black person, and she had some racist tweets from before as well.
I don't understand why these people don't
Like,
delete their tweets.
but
I feel like if I
but
blow, I'm
they
doing
still
it.
have
If I
everything.
have a blue,
They
I
still have
that's-
everything.
that's
So
the
just in
point.
response to
Deleting
what you said,
Twitter.
they still have everything with them.
Yeah.
So
But that's what
you
I
can't
mean.
really make that, you know.
What
But,
do you? But
yeah.
like, what race were these people?
They're white. They're like Hispanic sort of.
Yeah, but that's
They
that's
ain't
the,
black.
that's
They
the
ain't
whole,
black,
but
but
that's,
but
that's the
yeah.
whole point.
Just
We're
'cause you're
making you
Hispanic
can
doesn't mean
shit
you're
on black people and still have a career.
Exactly.
If you say anything about like if like Monroe Bergdorf, she was saying that like white people are racist, as in like every white person benefits from racism, and if you're passive, you are like
Still
you're enabling
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
And she had her whole career ruined.
Yeah.
For
I'll go
basically
question then.
stating facts.
Asha.
Yeah.
Because like I see you're getting mad fired up right now, and I want to fire
When
something.
aren't
I?
Fired up.
When aren't
So
I?
like
Ready to go.
when Black Twitter is going off on everyone else, is that okay?
What do you mean?
Like when Black Twitter's at in
Like
Chinese man, Indian man, white man.
No. That's just as
So that's a joke.
trash. No, that's not a joke. That's just
But
as
these
bad.
people are in the public
Can I
eye.
also say that you have
but
like
they weren't in the public eye at some point as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
But
right
Again,
now,
again,
yeah.
when they
Why
made
is
these
it that
tweets,
Monroe
were they?
Bergdorf that wasn't in the public eye? They drag up her old tweets and then they start to attack her, and she loses everything, her affiliations. Whereas Maya Jama, who is in the public eye, they drag up her old tweets, but because it was on black women, which is okay to shit on, she doesn't lose anything.
I
She
mean,
keeps
we
everything.
do.
I hear
need to-
that, I hear
mean,
that.
it depends on their platform,
She's
though.
a half-hearted apology, and then everything
Oh,
is
that
fine.
apology.
That apology was
Yeah,
weak.
it was
Poor.
whack. It was whack. I wouldn't have said
And a
anything.
All lives matter apology,
Poor.
basically.
I'd like to apologize to all women.
Yes, all women. I was like, what? I was like, shut up.
That's all
Yo,
lives matters.
You know them ones. You know those when you're getting beats and you just point at your brother like, hey, like,
Yo.
but like generally speaking, like out of all the races, you know, like black people have pretty much, you know, been shit on by like every
Exactly.
single
Yeah.
race. So like
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's okay, but you can understand when they still have like museums in like Japan and China like comparing, you know, black people to monkeys, and like even in America where they're still not educating, they're like, oh, these workers came over from Africa to exchange like labor. You know, when you have
Oh,
that
labour
happening,
exchange,
you
what
can
is this?
kind
What's
of
a
you can
labour?
kind of understand where the hatred comes from and where like the frustration comes from. And it's not making it okay, but you know, it's a way of dealing with the pain. But also, like, they're saying all of this stuff. Are they in like a position of power for it to actually influence when you're fighting a system which is like based against you and like pretty much puts every other person above you? Like, what is you saying this one thing gonna do? It's not like that person's hearing it every single day from everywhere, like about every aspect of their life. And I'm not justifying it, but you know, that's the kind of place you're coming from.
I mean, yeah, I just feel like, you know, when people's tweets get brought up to the surface, it's something they said a long time ago. So you're comparing.
There's always growth, of course.
No. Yeah, there's always growth. There's
But at
always
the
has to
expense
be
of
growth.
who?
What do you mean?
As in, like, yeah, you're growing from that, but like these people that you're saying these things about, you know, they're gonna have that.
You mean
with
saying
them.
or said? And this is what I'm trying to get at.
But like, They've said that, but like it's not like that's a one-off thing. If it's a one-off thing, it's like okay, they'll brush it off. But if they're hearing it over and over again from multiple different people on multiple different platforms, it's gonna get to them. Which is why it's like the shitting on black women thing. It's like if you're here constantly, say you're gay, and you're hearing all these like homophobic jokes about how you're like you like go into hell, like all of this stuff. It's like okay, someone might make that joke, but
so what? Wait, so then
grow out of it. But it's
solutions
like
then. So how do you go about preventing this from happening?
I mean, you stop raising like
I mean,
fucking bitches,
raising fuckboys, isn't it?
To be honest, it is a
and
worldwide thing.
Fuckboys, men are trash.
Wow.
Put an island, and the island with just men, and an island of just white people. No, I'm kidding.
Back to the Childish Gambino situation, with what you guys are saying. He provided like all of this evidence, all of this like sort of trauma on the TV and so blah. But he didn't provide a solution.
Wait, whoa. Why does he have to provide a solution?
I mean, at the end of the day, you're showing everything, but you're not showing how it's going to get
resolved.
But
like, you shouldn't have to. It's like when you're going through all these things.
I
get what you mean, but
it's
always, it's like tone policing. Like, you're only allowed to be angry. What if you come up with a problem for it? Why do I have to solve your bigotry? Why do I have to solve your rampant gun rage? Why do I have to solve your racism?
Do you know why? Because then at least the accusations of fake woke. You're just being angry to be angry rather than being able to provide a solution.
You're being angry because you're being traumatized, and it's like so through all this like trauma that you're going through all this pain you're going through, you also have to be level-headed enough to try and reason with the people who don't believe that they're being a problem anyway.
Yeah, because then that doesn't need to anything. That doesn't.
It's like you're going through all of these things, and you still expect it to be a solution to their problem. Like and I understand what you mean. Like it's not
displaying it. That's the different things. He's displaying it. Showing
so he's clearly done research.
Yeah, but then at the same time, what else is Childish Gambino doing in the community? This is things that you might be disregarding. Like he's brought out a video and he's displaying certain issues. Childish Gambino does do things in the community.
He's probably already donating money.
They donate. Like again, you know, if you know Childish Gambino, I like rapping it, and there's certain artists I always keep up with. Like they donate. They're
Chance the Rapper as well.
Yeah, they're in their neighborhoods actually doing stuff, and I feel like we need to celebrate those kind of things rather than always talking about the negative things if we're going to have a solution.
But it's like a solution, you know, if you get these people who are, you know, going through these struggles, if you put them on platforms where they can speak about their things, because for example in like American schools, if you always have white people teaching history about slavery and you're bringing in the white history books, it's going to be different, and you're going to have and if you're like having that from when you're 5 going to school until you're like 24 graduating from university, and you're having this Eurocentric whitewashed view of history, you're going to be thinking like that. But if you have like a diverse group where you're allowing people of different backgrounds to use their voice and have a platform, then you won't be having the problems because they'll have dealt with these people before.
So that's quite interesting because you understand the whole point of, you know, history in schools being whitewashed, and as you're a kid you're showing all these things, all the contrast between black and white, black obviously being the more negative, you know, so and so when you see tweets like from people like Poet and whatnot doing things when they're younger, you actually know where that's coming from. It's because their brains have been programmed that way.
I mean, I grew up in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
I grew up in Bournemouth where it's like 99% white people. It's very middle class, and it was just like there wasn't even like a way to like. I would make openly at school. I would allow my friends to make slavery jokes. I was like the brunt of them. I would like encourage it because you know you're going through this time where you don't really know who you are, where you are, and you're dealing with. So
you go through things as well then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
But I'm just like saying, like, as a person, like dealing with, you know, my blackness in like a white place where I'm the only person, like that was a way for me to, you know, get around it. And I'm thinking now, like, why was I letting all these white kids call me
I think as a kid though, you learn to like, you either assimilate or you differentiate. So like you either stand up by yourself and go off on your own, or you become part of the crowd.
But at the same time, there was no diversity there because there was no kind of outlet. There wasn't even like anyone in school. It wasn't really talked about. It was just like, you know, the elephant in the room. Let's not talk. Like when we're talking about, I don't know, like what was that book that we all did with in English?
You're talking about
To Kill a Mockingbird.
No, it's the other one.
Of Mice and Men.
Mice and Men.
Yeah. So when we're like when we're doing like a group reading, and you know, you're all taking it in turns to speak out loud, and everyone's saying like nigger and like every other sentence, but you know, you're not addressing in the room that I'm the only black person, but I'm getting side-eyed. It's like there's no way to, you know,
but to be honest, I think they're looking at
you
you to see if you feel uncomfortable in that environment. Like they're not sure to act in that thing. So when they're saying it, they're looking at you to check if it's okay.
Because the teacher isn't saying, so this is the word nigger, this is, you know, where it came from, we're going to be saying it because it's an educational thing, but like it's just not addressed, so then people just kind of like sidestep it.
And that's the thing.
But if you have
to allow you to say it.
Yeah.
Well, in context of the book, you obviously have to.
But that's what I mean. But then it's like if you're not really told about the context of it, and then you see songs and like you just it's just like about talking about these
So what?
problems.
Would you rather it be censored or what? Because recently there's
I'm not talking about censoring. I'm talking about discussing it. If you talk about it and educate people,
the history,
then
everything.
That being said, though, there is definitely a movement to censor people, though. Like when it comes to that, because for example, recently, like I was reading on the train on the way down here, that Spotify recently pulled R. Kelly's and XXXTentacion, or however you say his name. They pulled their music not from Spotify but from all like their curated playlists. In response to their accusations, and again, right now it's only been accusations. I just want to put it out there. Accusations of violence against women.
Crazy guy.
So basically, the two of them might have been accused of but not convicted of violence against women.
But here's the thing, multiple accounts.
On multiple occasions.
X's one is very mad.
X has been, I think he's been abuse against women, witness tampering and violence or something else like that. But here's the thing though, right? Give me an artist, hip hop or otherwise, that is pure as gold. And I think you'll find that it's that whole reaction.
I mean, again, we're all human. We ain't pure. So
that's exactly it. And it's going back to what you were saying before about how, you know, when people make mistakes and that. But it's the thing of now. But corporations are being forced and pushed to take actions like this.
But they should be forced to take actions, because it's like if you let these say, for example, one thing that gets to me, Johnny Depp. Like Johnny Depp was pretty much, you know, the case he had with his ex-wife, where she was like, she had evidence that like he beat her, and she was ridiculed, like absolutely torn to pieces by the media and by the public, being like, she's fake, she's lying, she just wants his money, blah 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 blah. And like it got to the point that when it got settled, he didn't explicitly say this happened, but he signed it in a way that was agreeing to like everything he did. But his career continues to thrive, and it's like, if you kind of show people, if you do these bad things, you're gonna face ramifications.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, but that doesn't excuse
him
being a domestic abuser. But it's like if you don't, if people don't have ramifications for their actions, then they will just carry on doing their business.
Yeah, no, I mean,
if Chris Brown can still have this popping career after he's been,
wait. I need to interject this conversation right now, because I think Nelly's got a point there. Is that it's the thing of like, if people value your art or your production to such a level, I mean, look at Michael Jackson.
At the expense of who, though? At the expense
don't talk about Michael. No, we don't. Listen,
you got Michael Jackson.
I rebuke it.
But again,
R. Kelly's still out here stripping on stage and that.
Exactly, and Asha's right about that in a sense where we let certain artists or
people
creators
get passes if you're a GOAT. If you're the GOAT.
If it came out tomorrow that Michael Jackson did do some stuff, I'm still banging Billie Jean.
Big man, I'm still banging Thriller.
You can't
bang off the wall.
I have to get rid of bad.
But it's just like, so say you have these kids growing up and they hear that Chris Brown beat up Rihanna, beat up XYZ, beat up, and still has this good career. Doesn't really face any ramifications.
Like no pretty one much stalking. What's her name?
And like no one does anything. It's like, well, okay.
When you've got someone like, yo, excuse me,
miss, he can still make moves.
He's a bit. Yeah.
I tried to defend him because he was 19 when he hit Rihanna.
About these bad issues, and you're talking about Chris Brown's career.
What?
Like, we're talking about how there's like no ramifications.
And imagine as a woman like coming forward and being like, I had my ass beat, I was assaulted, and everyone's like, I mean, yeah, but his music was good, and you're like, what?
No.
I'm not saying for you, but it's like you're traumatized for life, and it's like if he's done this to one girl, he's probably done it to other women. And these women are having their whole life, like they won't be able to, they might recover, but it's always going to be there. But it's like, oh, but he makes good music. So
I mean, because at the end of the day, it's all about what we pick, what we want to fight for, right? Like, there's issues in this world right now that you do not care for. You're
not aware of.
I try my best to be as compassionate as possible.
You try your best, but you can't do everything. You're not God. This is what I'm saying.
But the things that you can do, like just because you can't fix everything, you know, you shouldn't try and fix anything. I'm not saying that's what you're trying to say, but like that's if you can go by that argument, you know, that the world is fucked, it's always going to be fucked. So like, let's not try and fix anything.
So that's not what I'm going off. I'm just saying in terms of, I even forgot what train of thought I was even going off. But I'm just saying in terms of, you know, we all can't fix every situation. It takes time. I'm not saying do anything. I'm just saying that, you know, for someone to be like, for example, if you say Chris Brown hit XYZ, and I'm like, his music it bumps in the whip, like, I'm not saying I do that. I'm just saying someone might say that because they don't care about your issues. They don't care about certain issues.
No
one's justifying what they did. They're just disregarding what you're saying.
But I think that's a reflection of the society we live in. We allow people to feel so like disassociated with the traumas of other people's or the problems of other people that it just doesn't affect them. And it's like, why do we live in a society that allows these people to go through these things and other people can just be like, you know, not my problem. Like, why aren't we talking more about this? Why aren't we just having a compassionate society where
everyone does this is not my problem. Everyone does it.
Yeah, but
you wake up in the morning, you go about your business, and there's a lot of things that go on.
But that's what I'm saying. It goes back to school. So say in history, if you make people learn about, you know, how severe like the traumas happen, and it's like, because, you know, in history we learn a bit about slavery, but like talk about the Holocaust, and I spent like 5 years of history like learning pretty much about World War II. And there's loads and it's like, it's selective as well, because you have all these traumas going on in like Russia, you have like all these like massacres happening, but like they choose what to tell, like what to teach you. Like, look at
I think, to be fair though, you do got a point about, you know, people select their battles, because like I remember like a couple of weeks ago when the whole Jeremy Corbyn and anti-Semitism thing come up, and I found myself thinking, to be honest, it's deep, but I don't really care. Like, I know, I get what they're saying, that, you know, anti-Semitism is bad, and you know, there's been a systemic problem with the Labour Party and that. But at the end of the day, I'm not Jewish, and there's things that directly affect me that are more pressing to me right now than you know this specific issue.
Directly affecting you, doesn't that mean you shouldn't have? So does that?
But that's what I'm saying. But then I'm saying in so.
But
like,
we
in
prioritize
school,
our battles at the end of the day.
But that doesn't mean like just because obviously, I mean, it's like survival. You're gonna be more invested in the problems that affect you. But it's like not about being like, okay, this is bad. But, you know, it's not. It's about like people's completely lack of like, I don't care. Like, literally, I do not care. And that's what you have a lot of. And it's, you can even, and I'm saying like, this isn't just about history, but say like in sex education, if we teach consent properly, if we start teaching people like that.
No means no, guys. No means no.
No means
but
no.
yeah, but it's not just yes and no. It's about body language. It's about people feeling safe enough and comfortable enough to be able to say no to begin with. It's about learning about.
No means no, except when it means yes.
Fam, wow, yo.
But it's also about learning about like, why do we only really learn about heterosexuality? Why don't we learn about, you know, transgender, bi, like everything? Like there's just a lack of education. And
I went to a Catholic school, right? And they definitely ain't teaching me about.
Yeah, I don't think when it comes to, you know,
but it's another form of censorship.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like when it comes to the whole.
Imagine if you.
I think you know, when you were making the point about like people pick and choose their battles, then you know how we're talking about racism and how like this Childish Gambino video and all of like what it means. Then why should white people necessarily?
And that's my point. And that's my point, because you know, you see some white people. So you see some white people who just genuinely don't care. You see some white people that, you know, they try to offer a solution, and whether it's their place or not is.
But those are the people I want to talk to.
And that's what I'm saying. I feel like it takes cooperation amongst all people. Me personally, some people.
So you want to be like Kanye?
Not necessarily, because again, me and him are two different people, and I don't understand his whole agenda, and he don't know mine. So that's just one thing in itself. If we were the same person, we would be the same person. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
We couldn't coexist. So what I'm saying is that. With white people, I see a lot of black people bash white people when they try and offer a solution or where they try to cooperate.
Yeah.
That's my issue the most.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So, but in terms of white people, you know, not caring, of course, I understand that. I get up in the morning and I'll read a headline on Twitter, on Reuters, on whatever, and I'll be like, look, I'm a human being. I'm not going to act all holier than thou and act like I care about everything that's going on in the world. Because when you start to act like that, it comes off bad. You don't. Like, everyone wakes up in the morning and they don't know everything. So all this fake outrage just like kind of annoys me. Kind of, it's like, don't act like you are aware of everything. Don't act like you care about everything.
But there are genuinely some people that do care about a lot of things.
And then there's no follow up to it, because I see people marching, you know, Black Lives Black Lives Matter in
Yeah.
in England, and like you have no idea what people in the US really go through.
No, but the thing is,
so your anger is
we
rooted
have Black
and your
Lives Matter
solutions
here.
are-
You know that there are more black people incarcerated per capita in the UK than in the US.
That's a very dangerous. That's a very dangerous thing though. Stat, because at the end of the day, more black people are incarcerated in the US.
No.
In terms of pure numbers, yes.
No, but I'm talking about like
Yeah,
per
You're
population.
probably talking in
and
terms
which
of
is-
percentage
which
or
is-
something like that, yeah.
But like that's what's surprising. It's like everyone says the US is so bad, but we still have very similar statistics to them, which is why you can say Black Lives Matter, because it's like it's not all about gun violence and being shot. It's like why are more black people being imprisoned in the UK per population than in America?
I agree.
So
with,
that's what I'm saying. You can't be saying it's like
with,
fake outrage.
I agree with Black Lives Matter. The reason I'm saying it's fake outrage because there's no follow up to it.
Oh, yeah.
I see you marching. What's next? Who are you even marching? I see people rioting. What's next? You riot your own neighborhoods where all these public service places are being knocked down.
Yeah.
You're messing up yourself.
But
if
then
you
it's
really
like,
if you really want to challenge this so-called opposition that you're fighting against, actually target
but
them.
who has the
And you have to rally up and organise.
Who has the
Who from-
accessibility
yeah,
and
who
who
from-
has the knowledge to do
Who
that?
from our
So-
community is in
so
a
because
position of power
if
to
you're growing
do that?
up in some hood in
Wait,
like
chills,
some
chills.
ghetto,
What are you saying?
I was saying, who in like our community has the position and power to go and do that?
Who
to
has the
bring
knowledge?
change?
Everyone has the
Like,
power.
there's very few
Everyone has the
occasions of
power.
people
Sorry.
of people having like that sort of power. Like Obama when he was president, like that was the closest we probably as a people got.
But was he born being the Obama that you know? That's my point.
No,
And this is what I'm trying to get at.
Simi
We all
felt that
start
one, innit? He
somewhere.
felt that.
So what I'm saying is that have a follow up. If you understand something, the reason why, if you look at it, the people who are oppressed have the most numbers. Why is that? There's no organization.
No, it's not that as well though. But like when you're oppressed, it's because there is a system that putting you down.
Yeah, no,
and, but it's
sorry.
because it's like an educational thing. So say like most oppressed people will tend to be from like a working class background. They won't have the knowledge. So it's like political protests. What even is that? They don't care about politics. They don't know about politics. So they're not even going to know that there's something to be angry about. And if they do, are they even going to know how to go about it? Are they going to know to write to their local councils? Are they going to know to write to their government? Are they going to know where they can protest? Are they going to have the knowledge to? Are they going to have their rights? Are they going to know their right? And that is a very privileged thing to have. Like at university, we have those outlets. But like if you're growing up in the hood, you dropped out of school at 16. How are you going to know how to go to your local?
But my issue with that is, and like you said again, I'm going to contextualize. You grew up in Bournemouth. It's very dangerous for you to be like you grew up in the hood. You dropped out of school when you're 16. You don't know shit. Izu, you're from Newham, right?
I am indeed from Newham.
Cool. I'm from Newham too. We was born there. We
Born
know
and
the
raised.
hood.
Yeah.
There are very smart people in the hood.
Of course.
So you can start from somewhere and you can achieve your goal. But the moment you say we're in a system, XYZ, you have a defeated mindset and you're saying nothing's going to change.
I'm not saying it's defeated. I'm just saying it's not accessible. And it's like, you might even know about it, but it's like you do have
Google's
this
free.
hopelessness. Pardon?
Google is free. If you want to find information online, you can find information online.
But it's just like we get given this mindset, this like defeatism, which makes you feel like there's not even any point to it. But it's also, if that's combined with like a lot of other factors, you're just going to be like, you might not even know how to.
I agree. There's a vast majority of people who do not know how to, but there are people in unprivileged areas who have a certain
thrive.
mindset. Who want to actually make a change.
Situation where obviously, like you said, when you've grown up in a certain system where your mum, your dad, your grandparents have also faced the same kind of status quo that you faced, then you don't really think that there is any room for change.
But also, if you grow up with like a mum and dad who are like, would be considered your oppressors, and then you try to talk about
my oppressor now.
Well, as in like my whole family, like, I didn't grow up in touch with my dad's side. They're like all Jamaican, they're all black.
Side,
So I grew up with my white family, and it's like if I start talking about racism and about like the nuances of like microaggressions, they'll start just like dismissing me. They'll just start being like, and they'll be like, oh, because I have like a mixed race daughter, because I was with a black man, because this family member of mine is a minority, I'm not racist. I can't have anything to do with racism. Like that's not within like my like who I am. So then it makes those conversations even harder, like almost hard, like even more so, because I'm like, well, if the people around me can't even see that what they're doing is hurting me, how is anyone else who isn't even close to me? How are these like little countrysides that haven't ever seen a black person, or it's very rare for them to have people there, and this is within my own home.
Yeah, no, I agree. So like, how was it for you growing up anyway, like in a sense?
It was hard, you know. It wasn't until I came to university, it was with Kofi actually, that I was like talking, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, I'm black, and Kofi was like, no you're not, and I was like, yeah I am, and he was like, no, you're like mixed race, you know, you're like white and black, and it's like,
so basically Kofi just avoided you of all blackness.
Yeah,
see what you
literally.
did.
I'm
Men are trash.
No, but it
On
was
this occasion,
but like as in because I grew up in Bournemouth, and because I was one of the only like non-white people, I was just labelled black, not even mixed race, but I was black because there was no one else there. Like there weren't any dark skin, like there were dark skinned people there, but you know, we were like so few and far between that I was just this is like I was the black kid. And it's
hey,
like,
hold on, Kofi on the mic.
No, she can carry on. I'm gonna fill
but
in my point.
No, like I really appreciate what you did, because it just like made me think about how like skewed my view of myself and other black people was, just because I didn't have any other black people to, you know, reference.
Yeah, totally. And because you can also have it was all about your identity and what you identify with, because you are born of two different types of people. So and you can choose to respect or to fulfill which one you want, but at the end of the day, it may benefit you if you know your origin and you know and you believe both sides of where you're from, of your races, because it's not really gonna. Obviously, you've been labelled, and someone has put on you this label saying, "Oh, you're this, you're that,"
and it's like internalized.
But ideally, it's not gonna be beneficial in your psyche if you just always believe that. And obviously, that's where you've come to uni and where you've been to different environments, and you've sort of it's hard, and it was sad to hear that from you. Is exactly that happened, but that's where you've learned, and you've learned to just love both sides of where you're from.
100%.
So that's why I wanted to push this.
Do you feel like you would have benefited from like a black role model growing up, and that would have changed you in any sort of way?
Definitely. Like I've only recently like reconnected with my black family, and it's like weird that like literally,
Wakanda.
but it's weird that I like connect with them. Like I've been talking to them again for like 2 months now, and I connect with them like that. Like just the same kind of humour. Sometimes I'll like start getting sassy, and my mum's like, Asha, why are you getting attitude? And then I'm like with my like other family, and they're just like, it's normal, you know. It's like, and it's weird.
But you feel like you got that from coming uni and meeting like more.
No, I feel like that's just in myself. Like with uni.
Yeah, but coming here brought it out of you basically.
Is it you trying to take credit?
Hey man, shit, you know what I'm saying?
That's what he's trying to say.
He's like those.
Add a little bit of flavour.
But of course,
believe in your glow. That's all I'm saying.
And it's just like funny that I didn't even realize that like these people that I spent like 15 years, like 20 years of my life around all the time, there's still like a level of connection that just like isn't there, just because, you know, they might not go through the exact same things that I go through, and there's that level of like not being able to understand because it's not there.
Uni and then going back to where you live, did you start to notice like the microaggressions a lot more?
Yeah, I just I couldn't like even my friends. I started like falling out with one of my friends because they would do little things like and
the tan joke.
The tan, like, so basically my best friend, I love her to bits, like, please don't be mad at me if you hear this, but she like fake tan, like all my friends, like most of my friends in Bournemouth are white. I don't think I actually have any like non-white friends in Bournemouth. But she like fake tanned, it was really dark, and like if you fake tan, when you first do it, it's a lot darker.
Like
so she sent me a Snapchat being like, I'm black now.
Oh, come on.
While she was looking, you know, dark, so I was like, lol, what the fuck? And she was like, what? And I was like, I mean, don't you think that's kind of like blackface? And she was like, you know me, like, why are you saying all of this? And like, I was like, I mean, I just don't think it's funny to, you know, make yourself darker and then make a reference to being black. And I know that she's not racist, and I know that she didn't intend to do that, but I was like, it's still kind of what it is. Like, your intent doesn't make it any less what it is. Just because you didn't intend to be racist even, doesn't make it any less. And we had this big discussion, and like, on my like Snapchat, sometimes I go on a night out and it'll be very white, and you'll see all these white people dancing, and I'll be like, oh, white people ruin everything, like joking or being like they can't dance. And she's like, so next time I see you on your Snap doing like saying all of this, I'll remember that. Like, I'm so upset that you like said this about me. Like, why would you think I'd do that? And in the end, I was just like, she's going to keep being mad and I don't want us to fall out. So I'll just be like, okay, maybe I did overreact. And I told my mum, and my mum was like, yeah, you know, you probably did overreact. Why would you even say that? And was like siding with her. And I'm like, Mum, my friend is just like essentially dressed up as a black person, even though she didn't mean to. And she was like, and
I can't lie, Lily's a bit like,
and then she was like, oh, you know, you do overreact a bit, Asha. And I was like, okay, so my
Nelly,
own
did she
mum is
overreact?
thinking. So then I was like, even my mum can't understand, and even my mum's making me feel like I'm overreacting. So I was like, okay.
I mean, is that really blackface now? Let's not. I mean, like, there's tanning, like, you know.
No, but you don't it wasn't just like she was like brown, like
oh
orange.
no, I see the essence skills
like,
with the thing.
It was like, but it was before it washes off. So when it washes off, it dries brown.
Yeah.
And it's like, even so, like, was it even necessary to make that joke? And she like worked in the makeup industry, so she knows like about. And I feel like it's just one of those things that you don't necessarily see, like what you're doing is offensive. And I don't know if it's because like I was at university and I was studying it, but I'm just like, there's a.
Do you feel like Asha before university would have reacted differently?
Yeah. I would have just like, I mean, this is a girl that when we went and saw Harry Potter, I drew like the scar on my head, and I was like, it looks like an N. So I was like, write nigger on my forehead. You know,
no, you're forcing the thing now, because I mean, like,
you just backtrack a little there.
Whoa.
But like, that's what I mean. Like, that was just like, it wasn't anything, because it's like that was just my way of, you know, like moving around my blackness.
Was one that was very turbulent and a bit tricky. But back to your
that was
friend
like
and the
when Harry Potter came out though, so that would have been like 7 years ago, like or like.
So wait, because you're a kid, you get a pass, yeah?
No, because I'm uni, I realised like what that meant, like what I was doing, how like I was just playing an idiot.
If you go back to these people like Maya Jama and
but this isn't me doing it to other people. This is me like internalizing my racism, like being like, I'm letting these people get away with this as like as a stress relief. It wasn't them though, it was me. They weren't the ones doing it. I was like, let's do it because it's fun. It was like me navigating, you know, being mixed race or black in a very
that's just as bad though.
Yeah.
If you're
I'm not almost encouraging
yourself,
it.
That's like self-hate.
I know. But of course, I did have a lot. I was internalized race. I hated being black. I would like.
Self-hate is a thing.
I can't lie to you. I do think just to jump in quickly. Yeah, like again, I'm mixed race as well, and I do think that.
Same.
Shut up. I do think that at some point during your childhood, I think every mixed race person I ever spoke to has had that feeling of I want to be black, or like I want to be white, just to clear that.
Mine was
confusion up a little
definitely.
bit.
I wasn't surrounded by any black people, and I had like all these white people doing these white, like wearing these white trends, doing all these things, and I was literally told, you can't do this, like you can't wear this, you can't get away with this, you can't be this person in the school play because of who you are. And I'd like scratch. I remember I'd be young and I'd like scratch at my skin, being like, "Oh, is the white gonna be underneath?" I asked my mum if I was adopted, like all of this. And it's just like I didn't really find my place and like know who I was as like a mixed race or black woman until I came to uni.
That's a bit crazy because I mean I was Jesus in the play.
But this is Newham though. There ain't enough white people to be in the play, innit?
Yeah, Jesus was fully black anyway. But yeah, I mean I was Jesus, man. But I feel like if you live in a city and not like where you live, like a bit outer and.
But that's what I just imagine. So then I'm like, imagine.
Oh, you're pagan from day one.
I mean, you still are, honey. You still are, honey.
Yeah, you just might be. But I feel like it does depend though. But definitely because even when I moved to Essex and literally I moved 30 minutes away from where I used to live. Yeah. And literally like. It was
different world, innit? Different world.
But imagine imagine if I just had one black role model, like an older black woman or a black like man in my life who was like there and could be like, what the fuck are you doing allowing these people to make slave jokes and putting like this on your head? Like it would have just been there, but like it wasn't. So
yeah, but it's one of them things, you know, again, you're young, you don't know, it takes a lot. You need to, you know, see the world a bit more. You need to talk to
and obviously this was just my experience. Some people probably grow up and have like completely normal experiences, but I was very much like trying to fit in all the time.
Because I mean, I was dark skinned. Sorry, I am dark skinned. So even amongst like black people, you get, you know, the dark skin jokes and whatnot. So in school, I used to get cool, you know,
growing
whatever.
up, I always used to like just find find it weird. Like I didn't know how to categorize myself because I'm quite.
You're
I'm lighter.
You're black, simple as.
Like I'm black. I always identified as black, but
you're
I always, especially during the lighty stage, I always used to hate it when someone called me a lighty.
I never
like,
get
I'm
called
black.
lighty until I
Can you
came
give the
home.
definition of a lighty,
I'm black
please?
and fur.
Wait, what's the definition of a lighty?
A light-skinned black
What's the
person.
shade?
It's so stupid.
Well, we got Pantone graph here.
I mean, this is a
Pick
bit
a
mad,
colour.
Absolutely the most
Are we
stupid
all
thing.
gonna line up against the wall, right?
No, but I think I mean, light is just a light-skinned black person.
But
and then
you know,
got mixed race.
like Izu and have you met my?
You mean?
I haven't.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think I
he
have.
was at my birthday. He's gay. Like really.
Oh yeah.
I always thought he was mixed race. But it turns out he's just a light-skinned black guy.
No,
like he's
he's
Jamaican.
black.
but
I'm
it's
not
like,
fully black, but I'm practically. I'm not fully black.
Who
though.
are you?
He's part Arab.
Yeah,
Are
but it's
you?
still.
Oh,
But like,
fair.
well, both his parents are Jamaican, and I'm always like, yeah, you know, us being mixed race, and he's like, honey, I am actually all black. You know, you're half white, and I'm like, don't say that.
Man.
Don't remind me.
wait. So Asha, then, why is it a thing for you? Because I like you do make a lot of white jokes, innit? So,
Yeah.
like it
I'm
feels like
white.
you're
I mean,
trying
I'm
to rebel against your white
average.
side, innit?
I'm half white, so I'm allowed to do that.
Hey, that's
you're
what I
just
say
an
as well.
average
I'm
white
white
girl.
when I want. black
I'm an
when I want.
average, yeah, no, literally. No, I guess it's a way of dealing. I didn't
That's
realize how pissed off I
picking
was until I
sides.
realized how like much they've been letting me make an idiot out of myself, and now I'm like.
You're fighting back.
Plus, I did sociology, I did criminology. Like, I'm very
She really went deep.
more like aware of like the intricacies of these social issues. So I feel like I have more anger because I just know how
anger
deep
or
it
knowledge?
goes.
You saying that? Are you going with
Anger because of the knowledge.
That was a good way of answering it, I guess.
I don't know. I feel like you can. Go on.
Yeah, so you said you learnt the knowledge, but you don't actually have to go to uni to know that. Most people can just find out by themselves or just read a
Of
book.
course, but I'm quite a lazy person.
No, I'm not. I'm
so-
saying the one.
It's
Sorry,
like-
say that
The
again.
fact that it took you out of your environment that you grew up in and it shifted that, so it forced you to learn.
Yeah.
Because if you say like just continued in Bournemouth,
Yeah.
do you feel like you would have ever have learnt that? Would you have ever delved deep
No.
into who you are?
No, definitely not. Like I came to uni and like all my friends are like black and mixed race, and the fact that I don't have any.
So she
my
rejected the
friends
white
like that.
people.
Came to
White
uni,
people.
Did you like gravitate to a particular kind of people?
White people. I literally
Sorry,
said. I
Mama
literally
Zungi
said
brothers.
to our friend Sarah. I was like, yeah, I just feel like I get on more with white people.
And the black people came and found you. And
And
connected
Sarah
you.
literally looked at me like, what? She was like,
Yeah.
you know that they don't like you like you like them.
Really?
Yeah, and
I mean,
it's
that's a bit of a wild. That's a bit of a wild
no, but
statement.
she,
That is a
she
bit
was,
wild.
but she was just saying, and the fact that
I can
I'm
expect
like,
that.
but like,
You don't need to.
obviously it's not like every white person, but the fact that I've literally been like, oh, I get on, like white people understand me
It is
more.
a
I
bit
get
of a
on more
wild
with white
comment.
people. Like, can you imagine? Imagine that. Like, it's just mad. And now I'm like, oh, okay, I'm cool.
You're the Wakandans now.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Wakanda forever.
Let's not talk about after that movie. Like,
man.
oh my.
But yeah, man.
Guys, it's been fruitful. What can I say? This has been the Unplugged. Let me try this one more time. This has been the Unplugged podcast. That's Unplugged with 3Gs.
Hey.
Mr. Nelly Nixon, what's your ats?
Do I have one? Yeah, man. Apex Noeli with a Y on the end. All that.
My Twitter's average white girl with white spelled WYT.
All right, this is Chills here, but I've got a lot of nicknames, so I'm gonna give you my Twitter and my Snapchat? Yeah, just type clapped you, and for Instagram ACL17. That's me. All of that.
And I'm not really on social media, so.
Jeez,
Hey.
man.
Jeez. Off the grid.
No
Off the
distractions,
grid.
straight uni life. That's what we're doing out here.
Even mysterious.
Watch the glow up.
This is Izu Mulatto on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me there, Mr. K.
You can find me on Twitter at KTheFixer, and you can find me on Instagram at SBK Worldwide.
SBK worldwide.
It's been good. Till next time.
In a bit, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Yo, guys, thank you for listening to episode 1 of the Unplugged podcast series. You can find us on Instagram at Studio House Prod. That is Studio House followed by the letters PROD to stay up to date with what's coming up. Also, we are also curating a Spotify playlist. So if that's something you're into, follow us on there. That was also the Unplugged podcast. That's Unplugged with 3Gs. I don't need to spell that for you. You're not stupid. Till next time. Peace.